Welcome to Lighthouse Guild. This is the Spectrum Access to Entertainment Workshop Series held here at Lighthouse Guild at our main headquarters in New York City. For those that are joining virtually, we thank you for your patience. Thank you for returning. This is going to be a fun and interactive discussion panel. My name is Kiana Glanson. I am the development manager and special projects manager, which means I handle adaptive athletics, which we'll get into later, which is the best part of Lighthouse Guild, in my opinion. I am a medium brown Black American woman of Cuban descent. I have curly dreadlocks that are blonde in the front. I have on a blue pantsuit, a white sash that says Miss Blind Diva 2023, and a big crown on my head that is gold. It is modeled after the Diana Princess crown because I won a pageant last year and I am indeed the Miss Blind Diva. What we're doing here tonight is discussing entertainment, how we TikTok, how we YouTube, how we read, how we consume movies and media, and how it actually gets done as a blind and a low vision person and as a community. So I'd like you to take the opportunity to think about the things you want to discuss. This works when you work with us. So if you're in Zoom, get in the chat. I encourage you to put your questions there. We have someone awesome that's going to field questions later. And I have a bunch of fantastic people in the audience, friends from baseball, people from Lighthouse Guild, people from Celis Manor. Shout out to those who play sports that are here getting mobility, that are here for vocational rehabilitation, for all the reasons you're here. We thank you so much. So we're going to get started. I know everybody on this panel. I have worked with them or collaborated with them, and I've learned from them. So if you're interested in having a full life, meaning you want to watch TV and movies and know the jokes and sing the songs, do the dances, be on the Spectrum app, right, Peter? Then you need to tune into this panel discussion. So to my left is Peter K. Now we are sharing a microphone. Am I right? We're going to share a microphone, so we're going to be patient as we give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. So I'm going to ask that each of my panelists introduce yourself and describe yourself, right? How you present. And also, if you are comfortable sharing your visual experience, whether you are totally blind or your condition. I myself have uveitis, which is inflammation of the eye. I'm totally blind in one eye, and I have very limited sight in the right, but the mental vision is clear. So Peter K., your turn.
Hi, everyone. I'm full of vision, but I am blind. I am I'm pretty white, I think. I'm an Eastern European guy. I'm from Ukraine originally. There you go. You're Ukrainian. Ukrainians in the house, love it. And I have medium brown hair that I like to quaff over. I don't know how to describe myself properly, but I do have a medium to short length beard. I have a suit jacket on today. I'm pretty gray, gray pants, darker gray suit jacket, brown shoes, and brown shades. I started losing my sight when I was about 8 years old. That became noticeable, and progressively lost my sight over time. I have cone rod dystrophy. It's believed that my vision loss is tied to the Ukrainian nuclear power plant catastrophe that happened there. That was just north of where I was, and we had a lot of exposure to the radioactive dust in that area. So it's believed that mine is more environmental, but I did see progressive sight loss over the course of my life, and I have very limited peripheral vision, mostly in my left eye.
Hey everybody, my name is Thomas Reed, and I am a brown-skinned Black man with a smooth-shaven, bald head, full, neat, salt and pepper beard, wearing dark shades and a tan outfit. It's a tan shirt, tan pants, tan shoes. And yeah, that's me. That's who I am. And in terms of my blindness, I became blind as an adult, but in a certain sense, it started as a child. I was born with retinoblastoma, a eye cancer that affects children. And so I lost my left eye as an infant, and the radiation that was used to treat the right eye was the gift that kept on giving, and so that made me lose my right eye at 35, which is about 20 years ago. Yeah, I'm 55. What up? Yeah, and so that's it right there. So that's a little bit of me.
Hi, everyone. I guess I'm the only girl on this panel. And so my name is Rashida Bunting, and I am a savvy, soon to be 50-year-old woman at the end of this month. Um, I like to call myself, and I was coined this by this young man sitting next to me, Jerron, a wild stallion. And I think that he nailed it when he coined me the wild stallion. So I am the president of One Heart, One Vision. Is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable. All right, I see you guys out there. Organization, and we provide services for blind and low vision women from all over. And I'm also the first vice president of the National Federation of the Blind. Let me give a brief description. I have my hair in a dreadlock bun, which is in serious need of a retwist. I am a dark complexion African American woman. I'm wearing a somewhat tight, form fitting black dress, leopard print shoes with the matching leopard print bag and gold accents. And I know you just, as a lady, you got to be out here, whether you're blind or not. And I have a pink and white cane. And about my visual, well, I just call it low vision. I was born with an eye disease called congenital retinitis pigmentosa, and I had very, very good usable vision. I had a restricted field vision of less than 20 degrees when I was younger, but I did receive vision services minor. And as you get older, it's a slow road to blindness. And right now, I'm pretty close to there. I do have usable vision, but I don't rely on it. So that's my story for now, and you'll know more about me as this panel goes on. So I'm happy to be here, everyone. Here you go.
How you doing? So, my name is J-Ron Black. I am an African American Caribbean male from the islands of Belize and Jamaica. I have dreadlocks that's about shoulder, a little bit past my shoulders, more so middle of my back. They are in a 3-strand twist right now. I stand at 6 feet 3. I am wearing like a dark salmon colored suit with white sneakers. Not really sneakers, more so shoes. If you know Alexander McQueen's, they make a lot of shoes that fit suits. Um, so yes, I am. Yes, sir. I am a I'm an audio engineer. I'm a producer. I write songs for a lot of reggae and hip hop artists. I do a lot of activist stuff in the community. I'm the president of a nonprofit organization. So we'll get into it. Oh, you just want to know what I look like? All right. Oh, my eye condition. There we go. I have an eye condition called optic nerve hypoplasia. And so basically, that's like the nerves that connect my eyes to my brain are smaller than average. So I get less blood flow. And I also only have peripheral vision, no central vision. I tell a lot of people I can see a whole bunch, but I still can't see what 20 people see. So that's it for now. Dre?
Ouch. Oh, it's just a wire. Oh, it's on wire. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Dre. I am a blind amputee type 2 diabetic. I consider myself to be super BAD. There's nothing that I cannot do or accomplish or become because I do not let disabilities slow me down or stop me. What I do is move forward with the love and the love, which is one of my nonprofit foundations, because the goal is to create better options for people with disabilities and special needs. So I would describe myself as a beautiful, brown, Jamaican man who is sexy, single, and out of control. Yes, indeed. I wear all black because I always play the black. That's why I'm lucky in Vegas. That's why I'm extraordinary down in Atlantic City. And I've got beautiful children, had beautiful wives, but I'm beautifully single and here to do a great job here at the Lighthouse and Spectrum. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get this going on.
Thank you. Actually, Jeremy, if you can bring the other mic, I think we'll work it out with the other mic. Thanks. Okay. Okay. You guys hold this one. Take that, Peter. Okay. So you know what we look like. You know how we present, okay? But what is it that you do in relation to art and entertainment? And when you get to J-Ron, I want you to stop because I'm gonna put on a little bit of show for this last person at the end. I got a little treat for Dr. Dre over here. Yes, I've been waiting 30 years to say what I gotta say to Dr. Dre from the Hot 97 radio show, Dr. Dre. But let's start. Let's start here with Peter K. Can you talk to us about what you do in relation to entertainment and art?
Absolutely. Once I clear my throat. That's right. That's exactly. Let me clear my throat. All right. We're having a lot of fun. I think a lot of people had some wine on this panel. I wasn't one of them. I'm missing out. I work for Spectrum. I'm on the accessibility team, and my primary responsibilities are to lead our outreach efforts in the community with our advocacy partners, community partners, groups like the Lighthouse Guild. I also oversee the development of our Spectrum Access app, which is our audio description and closed captioning free app to everyone in the US. And also within my team, we have learning and development, we have social media and communications and research, all kinds of great work happens. But we work very closely with our technology accessibility team and make sure that all the feedback that we're getting from the community gets integrated into all of the products and services at Spectrum. And vice versa, all the good work that our engineers and developers are doing makes its way out into the community.
Nothing about us without us. So we're so grateful, Peter K., that you show up for us.
Amen.
So when it comes to art, I do a few things. I am a freelance audio producer. I host and produce a podcast called Read My Mind Radio, where I feature, it's a narrative podcast that has sound design and music, where I feature compelling people impacted by all degrees of blindness and disability. And occasionally I share experiences from my own as a man adjusting to becoming blind. I also am an audio description narrator.
Pause it right there.
Okay,
all right, y'all listening to me? Gotta interrupt and give y'all some juice. Okay, so I was at home watching TV, and for us, you know, that means listening to TV, right? So if you're sighted and you're like, how do you watch? Mind your business. This is for the blind people in the building. I'm watching TV. I put on Beverly Hills Cop, the new one. Okay. And you know the music, I wish I could do it, but I can't do it, right? So I put it on. Good job. Good job. Good crowd participation. Thank you. So I hear that, right? I hear it with my ears because they work. All right. So I hear that. And all of a sudden, can you repeat your name again, sir?
Thomas Reed.
I hear that voice. And he's describing, he's like, Axel gets out the car. And Axel, I'm like, yo, I know that guy. That's Thomas Reed. So you guys, this is Thomas Reed of Read My Mind podcast, but he is also responsible for a lot of cool movies, books, TV shows, all the things. So get on the Spectrum app, get on the Netflix, get on, and you will hear Thomas Reed as a voice talent. Yeah. Go ahead, you can go now.
I can't go now. Why do I need to? She did a fantastic job. Yeah, but in addition to that, in addition to the AD narration, I do consultation and advocacy, and I'm also a really strong advocate. And hopefully, we can talk more about this, about getting blind people involved in every aspect of the production of audio description, because it is for us and it should be by us. So.
Come on, Fubu, let's go.
Yes. Okay, so when Kiana asked me to be in this panel, I said, why me? Because I'm up here with some heavy hitters. And then I thought about it. So Rashida Bunting is a quiet, introverted girl. Everyone shut up, who knows me? Because, so whatever. But speaking of art and entertainment, I have my alter ego, RB. So RB is from BK All Day. And I am the creator, co-creator, and co-host. I see my co-hostess is with the most over there, Joe. I of the One Heart, One Vision Women Empowerment Podcast. And this is a podcast, a lot of times when you have a podcast of, surrounded around blindness, they concentrate on tech and what it's like to be blind and yada, yada, yada. This is a podcast for the extraordinary woman in a somewhat maybe not so ordinary world, which means we talk about everything but our blindness. Because as women, we intersect just our labels. So the One Heart, One Vision Women Empowerment podcast shows us that we are more than just our labels. We talk about women, issues, domestic violence. We talk about men and parenting. I'm also a disability advocate on my day job. So we have a lot of topics surrounding advocacy and voting and just human rights, because disability rights are human rights. And that's it.
Thank you.
Right. So, so again, this is J. Ron, and I know I jumped the gun before when I was talking about some of the stuff that I was doing. But just to kind of circle back, like I was saying earlier, I am a audio engineer. That's what I went to school for. Music has always been my first and primary love, but I'm also an activist. I am a president of a nonprofit organization called the New York Association of Blind Athletes, where we help and train youth adults to be Paralympic athletes. We primarily focus on a sport called goalball, and everybody here should definitely try that out. I don't know about that beat baseball thing that's going on.
We don't do beat baseball. Cut it
You know
out.
what I'm saying? Whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? Blind baseball. There you go.
Thank you.
But music has always been my first love. So I work with a lot of people in a lot of different spaces. I have more so been moving into the reggae music, and so I've been dabbling in that world a lot recently. And so, I'm just overall like I'm happy to be here. And as we get later into the panel and we dive into some of the things that we are best known for, I'll be able to elaborate more. I don't want to jump the gun no more. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Jay
But,
Dollars.
but yes, I'm gonna pause it here because I know I got a
Okay. All
great
right,
man
you
next to me.
guys.
So
All right. Now, I asked everyone to introduce themselves for what they're best known for and how they connect to art. And I just want to say this. If you grew up in New York City in the 90s, okay, we all knew Hot 97. We knew about Ed Lover. We sure enough knew about Dr. Dre. And if you called at the right time, you might have been invited to be part of the roll call. Okay, you're up in the back. I very much wanted to be part of the roll call. And so we are blessed today to have Dr. Dre from the Hot 97, Yo MTV Raps world, okay? Pioneer. This man has written songs and produced for the Beastie Boys. Get your pens. Let's get your homework together, okay? This man has been on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the one and the only. I mean, there's a second one, but we all know the real
Before
one.
the slap.
You know what I mean? Okay, before.
Can I
before
say
the
that?
slap.
Is it too soon?
You can say it, but I really want to do my roll call. I really want to do
You
my
would
roll
really
call.
like to?
I do.
You really like to?
Y'all ready? I'm
May-
gonna
may-
rap.
may I
Okay,
start?
yeah,
No,
I'm ready.
can-
Okay, go
since-
ahead.
since let me start it out for you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, my name is Dr. Dre. I'm very proud of being able to have done and started the first hip hop morning show with my partner Ed Lover, Lisa G, Kurt Flirt, Wayne Mayo, and of course the one and only great Al Barry. And when we started this show, we came up with something that was done by a group in LA called the Baker Boys. It was called the Roll Call. So without further ado, and bringing us together here in the Lighthouse, it's the Lighthouse. It's the Lighthouse. It's the Lighthouse. It's the Lighthouse. So what's up, y'all? What you gotta say? Who's here on the Lighthouse with Dre?
My name is Kiana and I'm small inside,
Hey.
but as you can see, I can rock the mic.
What's up, y'all? What you gotta say? Kyo Kiyama and make it with Dre.
Thank you. That was it.
That's it? A big round of applause.
You guys have to know something. People waited. Rashida can tell you, we waited all day to call and have your little I'm from Harlem. I'm from Yonkers, y'all. But this was a thing. This was a big deal to get on the phone with Ed Lover, Dr. Dre. So I have been fulfilled. So thank you, Dr. Dre.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Well, just because we're here, thank you, everyone. That goes to show with the roll call and what we just did. You don't need sight to do the roll call. You just need innovation. You just need your simple talent, and you just need that drive to get it done. And that's why I got involved with what I have so far. Because when I went blind back after the one and only great Barack Obama became president of these United States, along with Joe Biden being his vice president, I was losing my sight at the time. So one of the last things that I had an opportunity to see was his inauguration. So what that means for me, not only have I done radio from college at WBAU at Adelphi University with my friends, Mr. Carlton Ridenauer, AKA Chucky D, AKA Chuck D, of a group called Public Enemy, which I got signed to Def Jam Recordings after I got my own group, Original Concept, signed to Def Jam Recordings. Songs I've written with the Beastie Boys, Girls, songs I've written with a group called Run DMC on an album called Raising Hell was called Proud to Be Black. So you see where I'm going with this. I was blessed enough after that to do radio on WNWK. And then after that, I got a chance to go to what we call the greatest Black radio station in New York, WBLS. I have a long little story to share, but I'm gonna push it real quick. After we finished with that, I was approached by a gentleman named Peter Darty, who saw me when I was working with the Beastie Boys as their DJ and approached me about hosting this new show he was thinking about doing called Yo MTV Raps. So I was not only in the pilot with Run DMC and the late great Jam Master Jay on stage introducing Public Enemy at the Def Jam concert, I also had the opportunity to meet a gentleman who I never knew at all, except when we auditioned for this part. And we want to thank Fab Five Freddy because he did the weekend show on Saturdays. So if it wasn't for Fab, our opportunity may not have existed. So I want to give a big shout out to my partner, Ed Lover, for actually coming together with me with the great late Ted Demi. And I got a lot of late people here.
I
'cause
do.
a lot of people,
I'd like you to bring it up.
I got
Thank
a lot
you.
of late people who have passed away who used to work with me. But the funny thing about people and folks, they may think they know your future. They may think they know what's going to happen with you. And many of them have claimed my death. And I go visit their grave. How funny is that? So after doing those great things, we moved on and we actually did a movie called Who's the Man with a plethora of hip hop, rap, actors, and stars that we enjoy doing, from Criss Cross to Ice-T, who's been on TV longer than anybody we want to know on the show, SUV, Law and Order, God bless him too, KRS-One. I mean, I can go down a long list. Big Moni Love in the place, love her to death, Freddie Fox. But the point is, if you want to do something, you do it. So I've also done a bunch of other movies too. What am I saying? And done other television shows. I've been on ESPN2, and I hosted ESPN2's Cold Pizza with Michael Strahan, Tiki Barber, and many other great folks before they just did First and 10. I did that also for a long time. I've been on the Grammy carpet. I've been on the Oscar carpet. I've been all over the world. I even performed in St. Petersburg, Russia at the White Nights Festival. Now that all is with sight, but it didn't delay my vision. I had a huge vision when I got involved with rap music, and I fell in love with hip hop culture. I separate that purposely because we get it confused. We try to go, well, let's make this something that it wasn't. And I'm the one, I call myself the hip hop real educator, because I come back and I bring the truth. And when people come to me and say, how do you know? I was there, were you? I was on the stage at the Roxy with Africa Bambata, Africa Islam. And I always wondered, why do they always keep calling me up? And this is before I was well known like that. I was at Danceteria when Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick performed. And it was Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons who said, we need to sign that. I was there. It wasn't a story, I was there. So when we go to, I'm gonna finish up real quick. So when we go to,
Thank
when we
you.
go to Power 105, no, because I'm gonna give some big accolades to my partner down there. I call him Sensei. You call him Thomas Reed, because he's the man who brought me out of the darkness and gave me the technology so I can see the light. And the light is what we determine and what we make it. So let us take our blessings and deal with the Creator and say, we may have this hurdle, but we can jump over that hurdle and keep moving forward. So I want to thank y'all. And this is a great blessing. What's
Thank
up,
you.
y'all?
Keep the microphone there. Actually, since Dre was so eloquently able to lace what are some of the projects that you're most known from and how you create art, if we can go back beginning with J Ron, let's talk about the projects you're most known for.
So, like I said, being able to now work in the reggae space. If anybody here is familiar with reggae music, I've been working a lot with a group called Morgan Heritage. Yeah, so yes, anything for you. Uh-huh. I am the world to you. If you want me to. Yeah. So I work with Morgan Heritage, more specifically Jamari Morgan, who is the next rising star from Morgan Heritage. Unfortunately, we lost the great Peter Morgan recently. He passed away, and so now Morgan Heritage is on tour, and we are doing tribute shows. The most recent show we just had was last weekend in Central Park at the Summer Stage. So we had a whole reggae fest that VP Records put on, and I was grateful to be able to be there, be a part of everything, and help facilitate everything behind the scenes to make sure that the show was a complete success. I do a lot of writing in the studio with Damian Marley and those guys down in Miami. And I'm just grateful, and I'm looking forward for you all to be able to hear those great projects as well. And I got a record coming out with Fat Man Scoop as well. So, that's one of my guys. And so that'll be, once that drops, that'll be one of the biggest things that I'm known for as well. And so, I'm just quietly working and trying to do what I can in this music industry.
Black, I just want to pause right there, and I want to say this to the audience. This is getting done with legal blindness. You know what I mean? Like that was so secondary and tertiary to your talent, right? And to what's possible. So yeah, hand clap for Black for getting it done. Rashida, you talked a little about One Heart, One Vision. Can you talk about that?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer the question, and it's gonna tie into what you said, but I'm not gonna be as long as Dre. So, and everyone knows that as an educator, I'm very long-winded. Now, two things that I'm best known for are my advocacy efforts and activism. And that has led me into amazing spaces. Um, right now, I was selected to be the Grand Marshal of the Disability Pride Parade in October. So everyone, yes, everyone just come out and just wish me well. And another thing that I'm known best for is the ability to always create something out of nothing. And as an educator, every educator has what's called their pedagogy, which is almost like your philosophy in the classroom. So my pedagogy may not be what Kiana's pedagogy is. So my pedagogy that I learned as an educator was to entertain. Once you can entertain, you can engage. After you can engage the crowd, then you can educate because you have them. And this tie into how the One Heart, One Vision podcast started during the pandemic. And I'm the inveterate optimist. Even though I am going blind every day, I'm good with it. Like I'm happy with it because I believe that nothing in the universe happened by accident. So the pandemic struck, and I am still suffering from autoimmune issues. Now, I check box multiple disability. Thank you, Moderna, but that's another story. But when the pandemic occurred, everyone was sitting around licking their wounds. You know what? I feel upset. Blah blah blah. Jovan, a friend, Tiffany, who has passed on, we said, hey, you know what? What's our pandemic silver lining? We're on the phone, we're talking, let's start this podcast. Now, I'm laughing because I see how far this has gone. It started as the Sassy Vixens podcast, and we were just talking nonsense. And I listened to some of our older podcasts. We were talking over each other and just all kinds of stuff. And unfortunately, Tiffany succumbed to complications surrounding COVID. And Joe and I, we tried another podcast after her, like another episode. And I said, this is not right. What are we gonna do? And I said, well, you know what, Tiffany wouldn't want it. But let's kick this, even though we were still going through our bereavement. Let's turn tragedy into triumph. Let's revamp this podcast and let's make it something empowering for all women. And out of that came the One Heart, One Vision podcast. And our first episode launched in May of 2021. Wow. And we were talking about, now it's funny because the Sassy Vixens podcast, we would speak about, for lack of a better word, bull crap. Like little Uzi Vert, who's his baby mama, all kinds of silliness. And I said, as you know, as a woman of a certain age, what is the legacy that I'm gonna leave behind? It's almost like when I do the OHOV podcast, it's like my time capsule. When these extraterrestrials listen to this 20, 30 years from now, what am I telling the world about us as blind women? Are we just arcanes and guide dogs, or are we more than that? And the first episode that we did was the mental health crisis in America. And that was a super major different transition from the first Sassy Vixen episode on men ain't sh star asterisk. So, and from there, it was very cathartic because yes, we missed Tiffany and every wonderfully amazing thing that happens to not just the OHOV podcast, but just the One Heart, One Vision as a brand and as an organization. We always say, Tiffany, we see those angel wings. You got us. And that's all I got to say because I feel like I'm over talking.
Thank you, Rashida. I want to point out to Rashida, our experiences are so important that we share them, we document them. Unless you've crossed the street with a cane, you just don't know. It's one thing to practice and put a mask on your eyes and try it for a couple seconds and take it off. We don't get to do that. We actually have to learn how to use these guide dogs. We have to get on the trains and deal with accessoride. We have to learn to cook meals. We have to learn how to do our own hair and envision ourselves. Right. How to parent, how to study, how to be a student, how to be an employee, how to manage your money when you cannot even differentiate $1 from $100 unless someone teaches you how to fold them or the technology to identify it. So while those early episodes might be a mess, that's a testament, right? Like, do your own words. That's a testament to your tenacity and the tenacity of the blind women community for pushing their own podcast through. It got done. So kudos to you and the One Heart, One Vision girls. Mr. Reed, Mr. Thomas Reed.
Yes, ma'am. So in terms of what that's what I'm best known for.
Yeah, sure.
When it comes to the podcast, hopefully I'm known for my production, but also I think I'm known for my series, Flipping the Script on Audio Description. It gets a lot of attention within the industry. And also a specific episode that I did several years ago that kind of set off a lot of conversation around cultural competency in audio description, and that was about the series about the film Black Panther. So there's a lot of attention that received a lot of attention. In terms of AD narration, hopefully the Beverly Hills Cop now. But one that was sort of dear to my heart was because I love the reaction from the community. Again, I think cultural competency is really, really important. I'm a firm believer that the art should dictate what the audio description is like. And so there was the Notorious B.I.G. Documentary. So I did the AD on that one and got a lot of attention and a lot of feedback. A lot of a lot of attention, a lot of feedback because the voice. It was like, okay, he's from the community, which I am. BX all day, even as BK. Love BK. Lived there for 2 years, but I'm BX all day. But anyway, it's hip hop, okay? And you can tell that, yeah, I'm a part of that. I ain't never gonna hide that. And so I love the way that was received. And then in terms of some other things, just the group, the collective that I'm associated with, Social Audio Description Collective, we're making moves and we're doing some really beautiful things. We got our lane. We're not trying to compete with the big boys, quote unquote. I work with the big boys, but we have our lane. And I think we as an organization, as a collective, are really starting to do some things. I mean, we work with the Guggenheim. We work with lots of places like that. I don't want to say too many, but yeah. So that's hopefully what we're being known for.
Thank you. I want to point out two things about. Okay. I want to point out two things. Just to give you some context, Black Panther the movie was filmed and created, and the entire cast, production, and the actors were all Black. And then the person who did the audio description was not. Right, and you won't know because it's audio description and you can't hear race. You know, there's that's a whole conversation. I'm gonna stay away from that, but whatever. The issue is this, right? In our community, when sighted people tell us how to live, it just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't. Do you actually implement these tactics? Do you mop your floor in a grid? Do you organize your seasonings this way? I know that you've been trained to teach us how to do these things, and we appreciate the services from all the organizations that support the blind. But when you have blind people in management and in rehab, in tech, shout out to Ed Plumacher, when you have Jeremy Morak in marketing and Angie Iglesias in development and Chanel in volunteer services, we know what our community needs, and we give voice authentically to that experience. And so that's what I understand to have happened with the Black Panther. But what I love about audio description and Thomas Reed is he's reading Braille, y'all, and reading it fast and reading it good. And oh, not reading Braille. So Nefertiti, let me rephrase this. Nefertiti is someone from the collective. She reads Braille, and she's a former Lighthouse Guild client. Shout out to Neff. And so the skills that we have to use to catch. So wait a minute. Wait, let's run this back. You're not reading Braille. How are you reading these scripts, spitting it back at the cadence and with the inflection, like low and high? You know, what? Run that back, because did we all just miss that? Explain that, please.
So real quickly to sum it up, I use my screen reader JAWS as a teleprompter. I've been doing that for years, and it started off not to do narration. It can be, but there's some, you know, after you do that for a while, you get a swing of it. So I've done live events, I've done presentations where I could not stray away from the script. But yeah, it's a skill set that you can definitely develop.
So you listen to it like on chipmunk speed, right? Real fast. Then you process it and then you spit it back.
So you said something real fast. Rashida said, "What speed?" Because exactly.
Please, okay, audience.
You have to do whatever speed works for you.
What speed is your voiceover, your JAWS, and your Zoom text on, right? 80. I'm at 85. I'm pushing it to the limit.
Right. See, but for narration, you have to slow it down to whatever speed you're doing, and you have to get out a little bit in front of the sentence, but then you also have to structure your document in a way that it's easy for you to navigate. So the combination of all those things is doable.
That's called talent. That's what we're just gonna give that. Shout out to Thomas Reed, y'all, because I can't do that. Yeah. Peter K., what would you like to add to this part of the conversation?
Gosh, I don't think I have anything to add to this conversation. You guys are hearing from some pretty spectacular and talented people, and what Thomas does, I mean, it really is harder than reading Braille and spitting that out if you're a Braille reader, because you've got a stream of audio coming in your ear. And I know I say this because I've given a lot of presentations, and a lot of times I choose to give them from memory or just from heart or whatever it is. But the ones like Thomas said that you cannot stray away from, that you have to say word for word, and you've got the screen reader in your ear, and then you have to say it out loud. Nobody can hear your screen reader. They can only hear what you're saying. So you can't sound like a guy who's listening to something and then saying what you're hearing. That is a lot of talent, and definite kudos for that, because that's a lot of work to do.
So yeah, I get that. I've had to give speeches where I memorized it, or I memorized the points, and I could speak and I can improv if I need to, but that's really difficult, you guys. So I actually have my AirPods in my pocket because I thought I was gonna put one in my ear and try to hide it with my hair and get on voiceover and listen to the points. And so that would have been my sneaky trick. So to you guys on this panel, well, Right. Why do we have to have it? What are, to your point, what are the tips, right? The little tricks that you have to do to engage with art, whether it's through YouTube, whether it's producing, whether it's you're reading, what you making the app. What do you have to do? What's the accommodation that you have to make for art and for entertainment?
Well, yeah, sure.
We'll send it back around that way.
We can swing this back down the way, but the thing that I'll say, I mean, I've worked for a long time as a blind person, both on the technology side, as a public speaker, as an educator. For me, the biggest, most important thing is knowing inside of yourself, truly believing this, not having somebody tell you and then trying to conform, but actually believing that you can adapt. We're adaptable creatures. You can take my leg, but you can't take my spirit. You can take my eyes, but you can't take my determination. You can take, you can cut out my tongue, but I won't stop saying what I have to say. That's the if you can approach your life with that mentality, you'll always find a way to get done what you want to get done. Because at the end of the day, like Rashida said, you have to ask yourself the question, what are people going to know me for? What mark have I left on society, on my colleagues, on my friends, and my family? And when when the answer to that question is something other than what you're doing, you'll find a way to make it happen if you want it bad enough. Whether it's giving presentations or doing audio description with Braille or with JAWS, whether it's some getting a job with a manager who doesn't believe that blind people can do that job, and being able to demonstrate your worth and stand in front of them confidently, knowing that they probably are looking at you in a way that belittles your capability. Perhaps it's getting back into the dating market, and putting yourself back out there like Dr. Dre. You step out with confidence. And I think ultimately the reality is that we get into our own little worlds where we start to believe that whether it's the sighted community that's around us or people who don't get a chance to interact with people with disabilities, when we start to believe what that crowd believes, we forget that there are opportunities that exist in front of us to develop a skill set that we didn't once have. I'll tell you, when I first heard a screen reader, and for the first time in my life, coming out of a man's office at a blindness training facility, I thought that the man was speaking in tongues in there, and I was like, "Is that guy Pentecostal or something?" And I legitimately asked that question because I was curious about it. I was like, "That man is in there like he's praying loud in tongues," and I was like, "All right, well, he's got his own thing." And then I found out that it was actually a screen reader, and I was like, "I will never be able to do that. I could never listen to a screen reader that fast." And the lady that was giving me the coordination to the facility, she was like, "Oh, you will, trust me. It's just going to take some time." And so I started at 40% and then moved up to 50 and then 60, 70, 85, like Kiana said. And eventually you get to that point where you're just like, it's second nature. You don't even know anything different. And when it becomes second nature like that, the last thing you want is for people to look at you, say, "You're amazing for what you do. You're just doing life. It's not impressive anymore." But I think that every once in a while, you got to stop and remind yourself, it is kind of impressive, isn't it? You completely change the way that you do things so that you can be as successful or more successful than the people around you. So we got to give ourselves a pat on the back.
That's right. That's right. Good answer. Good answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Peter, thank you so much for that, because that leads to something that I'm very I'm very determined to make happen. And again, it was the sensei who actually brought me, like I said, from the darkness to the light. He's the one who, when I first heard a screen reader at 95.5, and he goes, he said, "Okay, didn't you hear that?" I said, what was that? And I turned mine down to like 25, 2, because I had to learn maybe there's a better way to do it. But sensei, I'm up to 65 now. I'm getting there. But let's keep this clear. What I've done, I don't believe in legacy. Because when you believe in legacy, you believe that's it. That's what you're living for. A legacy. What am I leaving here on the planet? Well, no, I'm not battling you. I'm telling you me. This is Andre. Thank you. And for me, since I've lost my sight, I haven't slowed down. I haven't stopped. I had an article on the cover of the New York Times. So right now, the most important thing I've done is when the ABA approached me about doing a streaming network for what audio description is all about, I reached out to my partner Sensei and said, we want to do this. And the one thing he said is, why does it got to be separate? Why can't it be everything? I said, that's what I want to do. I want to put everything in audio description. So I went on that journey and I started fighting and arguing and begging and trying to get people to understand. We want to see things too. I was pegged to go to the Olympics this year by a friend of ours, Sensei Shefik, excuse me, to do color commentary, but they decided on Snoop Dogg. I guess they didn't like my price. But the point was, no, nothing against Snoop. I have nothing against Snoop, nothing against my partner Flavor Flav, who did an incredible job out there, and all those great folks. But this thing I kept saying to myself is, where are we? Where are we represented? So when I'm asked to do stuff like accessibility sports, and I want to find a way to participate. So when I can go in the studio and produce, not because I'm looking at the board, because I'm listening to the board, I'm listening to the musicians, I'm listening to what's going on. So I created a network called Power World. And in doing that with the ABA, we're fighting and begging people to just give us an opportunity. So as that progressed forward, I said, you know what, we got to bring some love in the room. We got to get the love happening. So we switched the title and we call it the Love Network. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to lean on Peter to bring me the spectrum and say, now I know y'all got all of this other stuff going on. Why don't you let experts like Black, the Sensei, RB, go in there and deliver for us. Let us give you some suggestions. Now there's some great advocacies and some other great things happening, but when I go on to Hulu or some other networks and I cannot watch a program, like I never saw the slap from Will to Chris, but I heard it. I got a phone call from another partner, Dre, you gotta watch this, it's on Australian TV. They're not showing it on TV. I'm like, what? And he's playing it from Australian TV so I can listen to everything that's going on. I said, what's the problem? So when I watch a Super Bowl, I got to sit almost in super silence because the two announcers don't realize there are people who are blind who can't see it. And how you're describing it is poor. So we need great people like the Sensei and his team, like the folks that I work with, and like the folks here in this room. So I don't claim a legacy because I still got so much to do. That's why I'm Super BAD.
Thank you, Dr. DRE. We appreciate that. Now we're getting close to time, and like I said, this only works when we hear from you as well. So you've heard a little bit from there's a ton about Dre. I mean, really, you could Google him and be reading all day. And Black has been part of Lighthouse and Jewish Guild in New York for a long time, and his advocacy work is long. That goes for Rashida and Thomas as well, and Peter K. It's been such an addition to the Lighthouse family. But we want to hear from you guys. What do you want to know? What's your questions about entertainment, art, how we're doing it, how we're getting it done, what accommodations need to be made, and what you're doing? So I'm going to have Jeremy, my bestie, come here and get the microphone. Ooh, my phone's falling.
Okay. Questions. All right. Mr. Andrews. There you go, sir. Yeah, it's a little tiny.
Hey, Dr. Dre. When I went to school in radio and broadcasting, I did a 2-year degree in radio and broadcasting when I went to college. And I was wondering why everybody else got internships, but me. All the rest, no, for real, all the rest of my sighted buddies, intern here, intern there, we don't need them anymore. So I'm trying to figure out, there need to be some kind of intervention or some kind of talking to these radio stations to let me do what I do, because I can run a board. You don't need to see to do that. So, when it comes to internships or anything in broadcasting for that matter, we need to look into that. And I can't even do a 4-year degree in it anymore because there's a lot of TV stuff involved. Otherwise, I would go back to school and get my BA, but I can't.
Well, let me give this simple answer back because we're running out of time. First of all, give up on all that craziness. What's wrong with you? It's the 21st century, bro. You don't need any of that. Click on your phone, turn it around, and start what you need to do. That's not necessary anymore. That's where your comfort zone is. When I started doing this, and I was at Adelphi University with what I call the hip hop's greatest incubator with President Hank Shockley, Wizard KG, aka Keith Shockley, Butch Cassidy, Harry Allen, Flavor Flav, Chuck D, T Money, myself. We made it happen. We didn't sit back and say, oh, well, when they give us an opportunity, we're going to do this. I never finished college. And it was Russell Simmons who told me, drunken in a stupor in Chicago, you're never going back. You're great doing this stuff. You're never going back. And I said, no, I got to go back. My mother wants me to get this degree. I never went back because I chose other opportunities to make it work. I never once thought I'd ever be on television on MTV, a big fat black guy from Long Island who doesn't look the part. I thought I was chasing Julie Brown down. And at the other end of that tie, she was chasing me down because I was on a spring break and jumping in a pool with a #1 painted on my chest and on my stomach. You make your opportunities. Don't let your opportunities make you.
So no, the other thing that I just wanted to add to that, so to the brother who was just speaking there, you said Victor, yeah. So you said that you couldn't because they're doing TV. Well, that's another reason where accessibility comes into play, and so you might be able to do that because you just need access to the information that is taking place in those TV classes or whatever that is, and that's audio description, and the fact that that is an accommodation, I think that might be something that you can pursue because I know that there are other institutions that are doing that right now who are making their educational content. I'm not sure if that's the one, but I mean, it's all over the place. Like you have to do that. You have to make sure your content is accessible. So I would encourage you to pursue that because there might be some options for you to actually go ahead and get that. Absolutely. Cool.
Hi, my name is Christina Kovac. I'm 35 years old and I suffer from Stargardt's disease. I developed it like a few years ago and I've been a singer since I can remember. Like I sang with Diana Ross, Aretha Franklin. I work with Teddy Douglas, the producer of Crystal Waters, and I kind of like knew how to read music. Now I can't. I mean, I'm obviously not tone deaf, but I just lost my confidence and I had cancer at the same time finding out I had Stargardt's disease. So I'm in the clear now, but like, how did you regain your confidence when you guys felt like you were lost and now you're found? Like I admire the way that you guys are putting yourself together, and I just want to know how that goes.
Um, so I could tell you just very briefly in 2020 when the pandemic hit, I was at a low. I lost my grandmother. My uncle was in a coma for 6 months, and the music wasn't really going the way that I wanted it to go. And I was gonna put the mic down. I was done. Um, a beat actually on Instagram inspired me. It literally lit the fuse for me creating my first full body studio album called Keeping That Same Energy. I was watching what was happening in the world around me. A lot of our black and brown people getting killed in the streets by police, and a spark, a fuse just lit. And so I encourage you to turn on an instrumental, to if you play instruments, if you play piano, and just sing your heart out, cry if you need to, do what you need to do to just reignite that passion inside of you. Connect with creatives. After the panel is done, I believe we're having a social hour. Come and talk to myself, Dr. Dre, RB. Come and talk to all of us, and a lot of us are doing things in the entertainment industry, and you have taken the first step because you are here today, right? So you're taking that first step to regain that confidence today.
Um, oh, all right. Okay. And I do want to speak as a woman. First of all, about legacy, because I'm petty. I do this for the next generation. Next. Anyway, because as an activist and a real advocate, I I was born legally blind. And at the end of the day, I do what I do, not for the people here, It's nice, but I do this for the people for from the children for tomorrow. So when they go into an employer, they're not judged on their disability, but they're judged for their ability. I do this for the next generation who wants to go buy a home, or yeah, who wants to go get a home, and they're judged, like I said, on their ability. So this is why I talk about legacy. Now, as a woman, Gerard gave excellent advice, but no one is going to tell us that we're beautiful initially unless you do it yourself. Every day, and as women, we're sometimes doubly or triply marginalized in this country, especially when you add disability on top of it. So you have to tell yourself every day, accentuate what's great about you, because we all have something great, disabled or not. Every morning, get up and say, I like my eyes, I like my hair, whatever you like, or I have a beautiful voice. Just when you were speaking, I heard so much empowerment in you. You overcame cancer, so you're a survivor. You already said how much of a beautiful voice you have. The fact that you can get up and speak publicly and show your vulnerability in a room full of strangers shows your strength in the character. Well, keep that, because one thing about One Heart, One Vision is owned, operated, and fully facilitated by blind women for the betterment and empowerment of blind women. And I would like to connect with you after this.
Give a quick answer. I just want to say this too. And for those, if we don't get to your question, we are going to answer some more. But one of the big goals here at Lighthouse Guild and Spectrum with this particular workshop series is connection. So you shouldn't leave with with at least one phone number. Find someone in this building, certainly the panelists and on our website. You want to build community because it's going to be difficult, and you want to go through this process with people who have done it and are doing it. We haven't all figured it out. We're still living as blind and low vision individuals, and we have stories to share, and we want to hear yours as well. So make sure you make community here. That's for you and for anyone else that's in here. Yeah,
Really
go
quick.
for it.
Just really quick, I want to say this because I think there's so much focus a lot of times when people are going through something tough on the recovery and how to see the bright side and all of that. And I think that every once in a while, it's okay to remind people that you can lean in, because in the in the darkest moments is when you find your deepest inspiration. So, in Colorado, I learned about these dark cities that you can go to where all the lights are out and you can really see the night sky and all the stars because there's no light pollution happening. And it's really, when I think of my life, in the darkest moments is when I found the brightest stars in my sky. So just lean into it, feel your feelings, and find your inspiration there in that darkness. And that's really the way that you get out of it. It's not by focusing on the path out, but focusing on the path in.
That was good.
Hi guys, my name is Brian, 33 years old. So when I first started my circus journey, 3 blocks away, oddly enough, at Big Apple, one morning I was heading into work and a security guard comes out of nowhere, stops me. You going to the Gill? I'm like, no, I'm going to Big Apple because I was trying to find the entrance. There was barriers. So he was like, nah, you going to the Gill. He grabbed me, shoved me, and I was like, sir, like, and he even called out another security guard that got me to the Guild. I was like, no. And then I turned around and walked back. But and but that's how my circus journey started. And if you want to learn more, listen to Thomas Reed's Read My Mind radio podcast. But my question to y'all is this: at what point did the light bulb come on inside your head and said, I'm going with this. I'm going to continue plunging into this world? Because with me, thanks to therapeutic recreation, I fell into the circus world. Mind you, something I enjoyed as a child. And one of my aha moments was, and a lot of y'all know this, and I drove y'all crazy when I first had it because I couldn't stop talking about it. was ring mastering on stage for a special performance I went to when I was a child. And I work for Omnium Circus now, and y'all can see me later to talk about that more. But what was your aha moment when the light bulb come on? Fire away. Let's go.
We're gonna do one. Let's go with Thomas, please. So we can get some more questions.
Oof, aha moment. That's really deep for me because I think I had several aha moments because the journey is like it's not one there's not one thing for me. So when I lost my sight, similar to the young lady, like you go into that place, and for me, I think of that place as growing up, I always thought that I imagine that life is like this long room, okay, just a long hallway, and opportunities are the doors, and the doors were never shut. So you visualize what I'm saying? Okay, so when I lost my sight, that same hallway, I didn't see any doors. There were absolutely no doors. And that to me was the worst feeling ever because I guess that's despair. Like I literally felt that. Didn't know. So it took me a while. I don't know when the door appeared, but then I realized there were doors. Okay, so the aha moment, I'm not sure about it. At first, it might have been I was doing technology work. I was a programmer before I lost my sight. And so then I started teaching folks how to use the access technology and all of that, like Dre talks about. That was one. But then later on, it was, you know what? I like this audio thing. I loved audio. I wanted to be an audio engineer like Brother Black over there. I wanted to do that back in the day, but I was already in the midst of a degree. So I got back into that and it was like, oh, wait, I like this. I can use this with advocacy. That was another aha moment. But then I think the biggest aha moment, I guess, now thinking about it was during the pandemic, I decided I was going to say yes to everything, absolutely everything. So if something came down my way, yeah, okay, I'll do it. If something else came, I'll do it. And that's how I got into doing description. That was part of why I got into doing audio description because I got an opportunity from someone I met at Twitter, and I always have to shout her out. And she's a partner now. We do a lot of work together around audio description. She's a member of the collective. Shout out to Cheryl Green. She gave me my first opportunity. And then from there, other things happen. So I just tell y'all, say yes. Say yes.
Jeremy, there's two more. There's two more back there.
Hi, this is Yasmin. I just want to say thank you so much for having this event. This is my second year coming, and it gets more better every year. My question is, have you guys found the perfect setup yet? Because I know, I don't know if Thomas remembers, but he interviewed me. I want to say sometime last year about audio description, and I know with Rashida, we've had tried to do podcast episodes, through Zoom and trying to figure out everything. And as someone who has like low vision, it's a lot less now, but I still want to be active in, social media. I do have, YouTube channels as well, but I'm just like, I think like the newest thing that I found or I saw on TikTok was this like device you could put around your neck to where you could be hands free. I bought the 360 tripod to be able to still, create content. So like, have you guys found like the perfect setup that works for you after, or do you just have a whole lot of things collecting, collecting dust?
So real quick, I'll say yes, I do have a whole lot of things that I collect and whatever works, like a rubber band will serve me one day, for real though. Like whatever it is, I'm gonna make use of it in my setup. And yeah, of course I remember you, Yaz. And, and so yeah, but in terms of like, there's so many opportunities, there's so many things. I'm just gonna tell you to keep trying, and whatever it is that works for you, works for you. It's not like going to whatever the tech site is and they tell you to use this. It's like, okay, that's cool, but you're not coming from the perspective of accessibility. So, there are things, maybe I can talk about it to you offline. There are some things coming up around podcasting specifically that I'm working on with some people that are specifically geared to deaf and disabled podcasters. So we are taking into consideration accessibility. We want to create that community. We want to help folks who are interested in finding the content that is created by us. We want to do that. We want to create a space where, yes, you might not like, I hate graphics. I hate thinking about graphics, but maybe you can link up, maybe Rashida likes graphics or something, you know? Okay, I'm just using it right now. but I'm just saying, like, we need to get together to do that. We can do this together. We don't have to remain isolated in our own little booth somewhere, you know? So there's some things coming. I'll talk to you about that, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got
For me,
one more
in
one
the
more
back.
question.
One more in the back.
Hi, my name is Gary Bell. I'm wearing a Kangol charcoal gray flat cap and a charcoal gray t-shirt that says it's a Magoo thing. You wouldn't understand. Anybody who's young is Mr. Magoo was the first low vision superhero. His super abilities was being rich and lucky. And that helps in life. So I wanted to say, like, I'm a theater buff, and as far as audio description in the live theater is very important. And I remember going to a play at the Signature Theater, which is an off-Broadway theater on 42nd Street, designed by Frank Gehry, who did the Guggenheim Bilbao and the Disney Theater in LA as well. And so I didn't know much about the play to begin with, but the main character was blind, and a lot of the play was just what they call stage business, a lot of physical stuff, very little dialogue. And plus this character was clairvoyant, which seems to be a trope. Whenever you have a blind character, they want to make them like mystical and clairvoyant. And I've never met a clairvoyant blind person in all my life. But fortunately, the play had a talk back at the end. And the talk back is where people associated with the play receive questions from the audience, like what we're doing right now. So I said, you know, like the playwright, I think her name was Sarah Adams. She was very well known, and she was the playwright in residence at the Signature Theater that year. And the play was called John, by the way, if anybody wants to look it up. I said, well, you've got the main character being blind, and the Signature Theater has no audio description for their plays. And this play is 80% nonverbal. And I said, I'm legally blind, and I really couldn't get into this play because I missed everything that was going on, except for the 20% that was dialogue. Now, next time I went to that theater, they had instituted audio description performances for at least one performance on each play. So it helps to speak up. And the other thing I want to say is, like regarding Victor's comment, like it seems to me, because I've got some aspirations to do some like TikTok stuff. All you got to do for the visual element is find like a teenager that goes to high school, because they know more than any of us.
Thank you. That is very true. I'm going to thank you all. Thank you, everyone who contributed. Thank you to the panelists. We could do this all day. To the point, Lighthouse got to make this happen more often because we want to do this and have these kinds of conversations. But I will thank you, every guest and every panelist, and our leadership here at Lighthouse Guild and Spectrum, certainly, for investing time, because we need time with each other.
Hey, Kiana?
Yes, Ryan.
Kiana?
Yes.
So there is someone that I wanted to just answer.
Oh, wait, can I have your attention just
no,
one moment,
we don't need
please?
all them.
Go ahead, Brian.
Someone asked for software for social media, a recommendation.
Yes.
Thomas.
There's a question about software for
Let's see.
social media.
Anyone good AI editing software for social media creation content? Just didn't want to leave them hanging online.
So in terms of social media, if you're talking about like the Twitters and all of that, or I don't call it X.
I wasn't specific.
Yeah.
Let's say yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't use anything that's not accessible. So I know there's threads and all of that, but I really don't mess with that. I use what is accessible to me. And when it comes to social media, I think you have to find out, especially if you're a content producer, where is your audience? And I think that would dictate what platform you want to be on.